Most of you have probably heard of penguins, right? When you were kids, you probably learned about them when you were learning your animals. And penguins have been my favorite animal for a very long time, as long as I can remember, in fact. So this is definitely not my first time doing a project on penguins or researching them. So today, I'm going to be telling you about Adelie penguins. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the males setting up the nests. So in the springtime, the males will set up the nests with rocks. And the funniest thing that I have to show you is right here. So what they will do is the males will try to steal each other's rocks because they're very protective of their rocks, but they take each other's rocks and try to steal them, and it's really funny. So here's a little video of penguins stealing the other guy's rocks. He could be the theft. Yes. And there he is. Anyway, thank you, Ethan. So, the male penguins set up the nests for the females. They set the nest up on a slanted ground so that when the ice melts, it will fall down, because like I said, it's in the spring. So the ice melts and it goes down away from their nests so that when the females get there, they have a nice little nest to stay in. So that's one of the ways that the males attract the females. The other way is just by like screaming really loud. It's actually really funny. They just kind of sit there and go like, ah! And they just scream really loud. It's really funny. Anyway, one big difference between Adelie penguins and a lot of other penguins that you might know about, probably the most popular penguin is an emperor penguin, and they huddle together to keep warm. But Adelie penguins are a little bit different because they actually are pretty independent. They do travel in colonies, but that's just for protection. They're very independent of each other, as you can see, stealing each other's rocks. So these are some of the predators of the Adelie penguin, or all of the predators really. These are the main predators. You've got the killer whale, and then this bird here is a skua. They try to take the babies. It's not very nice. And this is a sea lion. So these are the main predators. The killer whale and the sea lion will mostly attack the adults when they're hunting or the babies when they're learning to swim. This right here is a little baby Adelie penguin. This is not a very good photo, but there's a little baby Adelie penguin. So the babies are had in a little bit later spring, and they get raised throughout the summer, and that's when they're learning to kind of walk around and just be a penguin. And then in the fall and the winter, they learn how to swim and hunt. So here's a little thing that I found that was really funny. But they learn to swim and hunt, and how they learn to swim is actually really funny because what the adult penguins will do, the penguins will take the babies into the water, or right next to the water on the shore, and they will jump in and start swimming, and then basically just say, okay, your turn. And so the babies just swim. But I think it's a little bit easier for them to swim because they're kind of built for it, or less. So then, after the winter goes by, around the springtime, that 1 year that they've been alive, they go off on their own for about 3 to 5 years until they're ready to come back to this area and mate. And Adelie penguins mate for life. So yeah, that's basically their whole cycle. They were born in the springtime, and the penguins will raise them together, and they take turns watching over them and going and hunting. And watching them feed is actually really interesting because how they feed, the parent that went and got food, they just go and eat, and then they will kind of throw up the food in their mouth, and they just like open their mouth, and the babies just kind of eat out of their mouth, and their mouths look really scary, like it's kind of terrifying. But the babies, when they're on their own a little bit, because they do get a little bit of freedom while they're at the nest, they just kind of walk around, and sometimes the skuas will attack them, and then the baby penguins will huddle together, and it's really cute because they huddle together to protect each other, and that's really cute. So I hope you guys all learned a lot about Adelie penguins today, and I hope you found this interesting. Thank you very much.